Elisa has been working for the same Indian family for about 10 years in Lenasia, which is predominantly Indian, religious and quite conservative. Madam Zarina, her employer, says Elisa was close to her grandchildren and she also knows Elisa's family. But 4 years ago, Madam Zarina noticed that Elisa wasn't quite herself.
She was losing weight, she wasn't feeling well, and obviously it was affecting her work. And I actually encouraged her. I said to her she needs to go and have herself tested, and that's when she actually went to the clinic.
Do you feel that as an employer you had the right to actually enforce her to go for a test?
Well, if she didn't go, I would have had to actually take her to the clinic myself, or I would have had to take her to a hospital or to a GP to have her seen to. But being a nurse and knowing the signs and symptoms of HIV, I somehow deep down knew that what it was.
Under South Africa's Employment Equity Act, no employer can force a worker to be tested or disclose their HIV status. But Elisa, who is in her 40s, says it never occurred to her not to tell Madam Zarina that she was HIV positive.
I just tell them because, I don't know how to talk lies. That's why I just tell them the truth. Because if you tell them lies also, they will see you also. If you're not right, if you're getting sick all the time, how are you going to tell them? What are you going to say you got?
However, she has friends who are HIV positive who have not told the people they work for.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, they got that HIV. They don't tell the employer, they just lie to them. They say maybe they're going to just lose their job. But me, I didn't think about that. I just say, if I lose the job, it's okay also. What can I do? Because that HIV is the sick that I don't know where it comes from, really.
But Madam Zarina remembers a different Elisa who came back from the clinic.
She was very concerned when she told me, but I sort of encouraged her and I supported her, and I said to her she mustn't worry, that she would get better, taking the medication. I wasn't shocked, I wasn't concerned about the spread of infection because I know how it spread, and I just wanted her to get better.
You've been living in this community for a really long time. What would you say is the perception of domestic workers with HIV among, say, the Indian madams?
Well, not good. I would say that not only HIV, but I also think with TB, they would definitely lose their job.
Madam Zarina understood that with treatment, Elisa could get better because she was once a nurse. She's retired now. She knew that Elisa's mother had died of the disease and that there were 4 children at home depending on her. But the question of whether to disclose or not represents a serious labour challenge. Dr. Wasila Jusat from the Health Systems Trust says there isn't very much information about the prevalence of HIV amongst domestic workers and what happens to them when they become infected. Dr. Jusat also says that young women who become domestic workers are part of a group that is already vulnerable.
Because they are isolated and away from home, they often face sexual harassment and gender-based violence. The fact that the nature of employment is not formalized and that there are no HIV workplace programs or that health services can't target them for prevention programs.
A worker cannot be fined for being HIV positive, but they can be dismissed if they are not well enough to work. But there would have to be a hearing to determine that. But she would encourage workers to disclose to close family and employers if they are comfortable with that and feel there is no risk. But that's the catch.
Particularly with this group of employees, I think there are definite issues around power relations, So if you say that someone voluntarily tested, is it really voluntary? Because we know the power relations between a madam and a domestic worker. And really, they do fear stigma, they fear dismissal and losing their jobs. I mean, we know from their working conditions that they have little recourse to labour rights protection. They often are in casual or part-time employment. Some of them are foreigners. They don't necessarily know their rights or can exercise their rights.
Jusat says that employers need to be aware that HIV can only be passed through sexual intercourse and the mixing of blood and bodily fluids. Thus, an HIV-infected domestic worker does not pose any real threat to the safety of their food, children and homes. I'm Zeenat Abdool in Johannesburg.